So once you open up the project, starting with the project box up here, you're going to see everything is organized numerically, starting with number 1, which is the main comps here. So all these are the comps that are sitting in the main timeline layout. So you can see that you have 40 comps inside there, as well as the depth of field source mat, the Lightworks logo, and that generic cinema comp. Moving down, number 2 are your text pre-comps, and this is where all your text can be changed. Of course, you can change it in the timeline as well, but this is where all your text pre-comps sit. And then we have the frame comps. So I decided to organize it like this. We have the frame comps here, and you're going to see below that you have the video drop box. Now the difference is that, in the majority of these frame comps, if you double click, you are going to see that inside the frame comp sits perhaps a text pre-comp as well as the video drop box. So the video drop box is where you're going to want to insert your photo and videos, and the frame comp is how the style and the design of the frame looks. So these grungy borders, this grungy blue background that you see here, for which you can add to or change the look of your frame design. You're going to want to do that inside the frame comp. And any photo or video that you want to insert into the frame comp, you're going to want to drag and drop it into the video Dropbox comp. Then moving down is the reel comps. And you're going to see that we have 2 frame reels. Those frame reels are going to be the frame reel effect that you see later on in the presentation, where there's a lot of different frames and footage that we're moving through in one big film reel. These are the pre-comps that make up that entire look. And then moving down to number 6 is the entire Super 35 bundle, the collection of mats and footage that are used inside the presentation. So that's going to be sitting in there, number 6, all organized for you. And below that, you're going to see a main timeline layout, and these are where all the comps are put together for the presentation. I try to make it easy and simplify it for you so you have a 1080p and 720p render me. Okay, so you can simply, whatever modifications you make and you're ready to render it out, you go to the render me, either 1080p or 720p, whatever you prefer, and do your render. So you're going to see in most cases within all these comps, you're going to have some type of text pre-comp. And a majority of the time, those text pre-comps are being tracked. So in this case, I'm in comp number 3, and you're going to see inside a lot of these comps a pre-comp called frame comp. Now, sitting inside here in the frame comp, if I double click, is going to be my text pre-comp. So I can double click on my text pre-comp here, or go to my text pre-comp folders up here and change it there. Either way, I'm going to double click and just simply change my text. Now once I go back, you're going to see that everything's changed. So you may need to modify it. As you can see, I'm just going to go back here for a second and move this over a bit. And just sit back there. And there you go. So now you'll notice, of course, that this text is going to track with the film strip in this case, and that is because it's attached to a 2D tracking null. So now, because this text is attached to the 2D tracking null, it's attached to the film reel, it's just going to move with the footage. Okay, so inserting your photo or video is really easy. There's just a few things I want to explain really quick. Comp number 18 and 19, which is the film reel effect, is going to take up some render time. So be aware of that. When you are rendering, you're probably going to see it slow up significantly because there is a lot going on there. So you're going to notice here, for one, in comp number 18, we have the projector controller that projector controller is going to control the shake of this particular comp, or I should say the camera. So if you want to add a little bit of wobble to the actual camera as this reel's going through to kind of gritty it up a little bit more, you can do so right there. And as well as zoom back or zoom in. Of course, you can animate that, so you can zoom in really fast, zoom back out if you feel the need. And then the controller below that is going to be the reel controller. Now this is going to control the actual film strip reel. So if you want to move it forward or backwards, you're just going to want to change these numbers here, and you're going to see that it's going to change for you. Now I do have a couple mats on here, and you're going to notice again in the majority of the mats that I use that I usually use a screen add or overlay type of blending mode. Okay, so that is as well as changing the opacity and bumping it down. So we got a little bit of a blowout and some leaks, again just to kind of grade it up a little bit. But now when we want to change our text, we can of course double click inside the pre-comp here, and this is going to show us our whole reel. So you can hit Command minus to zoom out, H for hand. So you have a very long view of your reel. So what you can do is simply click on the comps here. Now you're going to see duplicates of these comps. And to quickly explain what is going on, if you look at the presentation, you're going to see that as we move by the film reel, I wanted an enhance rather just have the you see in some type of video or photo displayed. I wanted to give some type of feel of a film strip. So I put a little bit of expressions here, and the way it works is this. If I go to one of these comps here, I'm just going to select frame comp number 14. So if I zoom in here for a second, it's going to be this one right here. And you'll notice that there's two frame comp 14s as well as 13, 12, 11, 10, so on and so forth. And what we have going on here are we have our main comp, which we can see pretty clearly, but we do see a little bit of remnants, right? So in order to get that kind of constant flow that you would get of a moving film strip, what I did was duplicate a comp here. The top comp is going to have an overlay blend mode, okay, so that we can kind of see through it. And as well as I bump down the opacity, so to about 45. Now you're going to see an expression on there called loop out cycle. And what that's doing is constantly moving these three keyframes throughout the entire composition. The overlay frame is moving up and down really quick, and it's cycling these three keyframes. The illusion is that there's a constant, movement going through the reel. Now this occurs for every frame comp. So this is going to eat up some time, so if you feel the need and you didn't really want to have that effect, or if you just didn't want that effect not due to render time, you just thought it was too gritty for you, you can go into the frame reel here, highlight all the duplicate top frame comps, and turn them off. Okay, so that's going to clean it up. It'll move up the render time a little bit. So I thought I mentioned that just so you kind of get a better idea what was going on. Now to change it, if you're going to insert your photo or video, very simple. Again, I'll go into frame comp number 14. And inside the frame comps, you are going to see your text, for which you can change here. Just quickly change that. And then the video drop box. You might want to place your photo or video underneath the actual flicker mat. So in all these different frame comps, another factor that is going to take up some render time are the mats that are overlaying each frame comp. If you wanted to boost up your render time, or you just wanted to make it less gritty, you can certainly shut the matte flicker off. Also, each video comp is 1080p size, so you have a lot of flexibility for your photos or video. So now if I go back into that frame comp, everything's changed. Go into my reel, everything's changed. And go back into the main comp and everything will be changed. Looking in the main timeline layout, you're going to see a few different color wash presets, for you to play around with. You can just turn them on if you wish to view what they look like. More importantly are the controllers inside the main timeline that you see here. So this is the main timeline consisting of all the comps in the project. And first we have the out of focus controller. And that's going to consist of giving you the effect of just, putting your comp, your image in and out of focus. So you can just change the blur radius there, say whatever you wish. And it's going to have a more streaking effect because all the content was shot with anamorphic lenses. So with anamorphic lenses, you get a specific type of out of focus, which is more vertical, more of an oval type of bokeh that you have. So if you wanted to change that, you can just go into the aspect ratio here, and if you change it back to 1, it will give you more of a spherical look. Next we have the projector zoom controller, so you can quickly move in if you wanted to, say, bump that up. So if I bump this up to, let's say, 5500, you can see that camera's gonna move in rather quickly, and then I can just have it move back out to its original. Okay, so next is going to be the sprocket controller, and change the value to something like 2. What you're going to see here is that effect where it kind of goes off the hinge. So essentially this is why I put the controllers here. It's for simplicity and for you to be able to play around with the project and extend from what the presentation gives you. Moving down, you're going to see the rotation controller, and that is of course going to control the rotation. So again, all these you can just animate, adding the keyframes starting at the original value, and then move down half a second to a second and bump up the value, and then go back down. So next is the offset. So you can see here if I move the X value, it's going to move that. And the X and Y sprocket are really attached to the sprocket controller, so you're going to want to play with the sprocket controller instead. And finally, we're going to have the film gate wobble control, and that's just going to animate the wobble of the composition. So the film wobble is going to essentially give you that camera shake. So if you were to start a value at 0, make a keyframe. So I'm starting at 0, ending at 0, and if I were to bump this up something ridiculous like 555, you can see already that it's going to really shake. It's going to start at 0, bump up to 555, go back down to 0. So it's pretty cool. And that's it. So when you're done modifying the project, you can of course choose the 1080p or the 720p render me. Go up to composition, make movie, and depending on what your needs are, if you're going to do a AVI or QuickTime, you can change your frame rate over here. I keep it at 24, but if you need a different frame rate, of course you can choose use your own frame rate right there. And if you hit lossless, then you can change your format, of course, to whatever suits your need. If you're doing a QuickTime, Animation's great codec. If you have to kind of bump that down a little bit, you might look into something like the H.264. Doing all the mixing, I'll do a final mix down in Premiere, render it out as a full mix. In those mixes you can use in a program like Premiere. That's about going to wrap it up. Hopefully this walkthrough helped. If you have any questions in regards to the project, feel free to email me at any point. I'd be happy to help.